So we have seen in the last stanza that Mrs. Fitzgerald, who was actually Mrs. Pearson, she was worried about the condition of her home, and when she came and saw how Mrs. Fitzgerald was treating everyone, so she said, "I want to talk to you." And George also became happy because he said, "I cannot handle it anymore now, and you only take care." So she said, "Okay, don't worry, I will." So they both talk to each other now. "Mrs. Fitzgerald, we must change back now. We really must." So was Mrs. Pearson actually. She said we should change now because in the starting of the chapter we have done that both of them has changed their souls, and Mrs. Fitzgerald was Mrs. Pearson and Mrs. Pearson was Mrs. Fitzgerald. "Mrs. Pearson, why?" "Because this has gone far enough. I can see they are all miserable and I can't bear it." She said it has gone far enough now because she was a very loving and caring type of mother and wife, so she could not tolerate whatever was happening at home. She said it's miserable, I cannot tolerate it now. A bit more of the same would do them good, making a great difference already. She moves to right of the table and she said, "Little bit more let me do because it's making the difference." Mrs. Fitzgerald, "No, I can't stand any more of it. I really can't. We must change back. Hurry up, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald." She said, "No, no, I cannot see it anymore. We should change it now and hurry up. We'll change." Mrs. Pearson, "Well, if you insist." "Yes, I do. Please, please." So again, they do the same thing. They hold each other's hand, and after that, Mrs. Pearson, "Quite now, relax." So both they hold each other's hand, and she mutters the same thing. The you can say that mantra type whatever she was chanting. Astadam, 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 like we say abracadabra that type. They carry out the same action as before, going legs and then coming to life. But this time, of course, they become their proper personality. So again, they do the same thing, and finally, the souls are changed and they become their real personality. "Oh well, I enjoyed that." Mrs. Pearson, "I did not." So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, "I enjoyed it because how the way she treated Mrs. Pearson's family." She said, "I enjoyed it." But Mrs. Pearson says, "No, I did not." "Well, you ought to have done now. Listen." She said, "You should have enjoyed it. Now listen. Mrs. Pearson, don't go soft on again, else it will all have been wasted." She said, "Now, okay, we have changed the personality, but when you will go home, don't be soft to them. Otherwise, this all will be wasted." "I will try not to, Mrs. Fitzgerald. They have not had as long as I would like to have given them. Another hour or two's rough treatment might have made it certain." She said, "But I have not given them enough how much I wanted. I wanted to have another hour or two, 1 or 2 hours rough treatment with them, then they would certainly change. I am sure they will do better now. Though I don't know how I am going to explain." Mrs. Pearson said, "No problem. I think they will do better now. Don't you start any explaining or apologizing, or you are done for." And Mrs. Fitzgerald says to Mrs. Pearson, "See, don't start explaining anything and apologizing for your rude behavior. Don't do this all, please. It's all right for you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. After all, they aren't your husband and children." Mrs. Pearson said, "Yes, I understand. You don't have to worry about that. After all, they are not your children and husband." Mrs. Fitzgerald, "Now you listen to me. You admit yourself you are spoiling them, and they did not appreciate you." Said, "Listen to me. You are the one who has spoiled them, and that's why they don't listen anything to you. Any apologies, any explanation, and you will be straight back where you were." She said, "Whatever that atmosphere was there in home, they were not treating her properly. Husband was not treating his wife properly. Children were not, they were not listening to their mother properly. It was just because of her only, because she has given them so much of freedom." She said, "If you be polite again, if you give any explanation again, same thing will be done. I am warning you, dear. Just give them a look, a tone of voice, now and again, to just suggest you might be tough with them if you wanted to be." She said, "Just give them a look, a straight look, and be tough on them, be rough on them, so that they understand that you can also be like that. And it ought to work anyhow. We can test it. Mrs. Pearson, how? Well, what is it you would like them to do that they don't do? Stop at home for once. She said, whatever you don't like them to do, just stop them for once. Don't tolerate it. Yes, and give me a hand with supper. Anything you would like them to do that you enjoy, whether they do or not. She said, whatever you like, and ask them to do it. Maybe helping you in supper, but don't uh, do the same thing which you are doing again. Mrs. Pearson. Well, yes, I like a nice game of rummy, but of course, I hardly ever have one except of Christmas. She said, yes, I want to play a game of rummy. I play it only on Christmas. That we do then, but keep firm, or you have had it. Oh, you can come in now. But remember, a firm hand. So she was going, Mrs. Fitzgerald was leaving, and she was again and again telling her, don't be soft now, be firm. And show them that you can also be so rough on them if they don't follow. I am just off to let you enjoy yourself. Okay, she said, I'm going now, you enjoy yourself. Doris, yes, mother. Seeing that you don't want to go out, I tell you what I thought we would do. And she calls her daughter Doris and she said, okay, you are not going out, so we'll do something which I. Mrs. Pearson, seeing, and she was smiling also. And Mrs. Fitzgerald, before going, she was reminding again and again, remember. Mrs. Pearson, no objection, I hope. George, no, mother, whatever you say. So now, because the children were also afraid of their mother, they said, no, no, no objection. Mrs. Pearson, I thought we would have a nice family game of rummy and then you children could get the supper ready while I have a talk with your father. She said, okay, we'll play rummy, then both of you will keep ready the dinner. Till then, I will talk to your father. George, suits me. What about you two? George said, yes, yes, I am ready. What about you two children? And Cyril and Doris, they also said, yes, well, that's all right, we will do it. Mrs. Pearson, what? Speak up. Doris, oh, I think it would be lovely. He said, no, no, it will be lovely. We'll go and we'll prepare dinner. Mrs. Pearson, goodbye, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Come again soon. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald was leaving. She said goodbye and come again. Mrs. Fitzgerald, yes, dear. Night all. Have a nice time. Now, so she was also relaxed the same way. Mrs. Pearson was treating her family and they were sitting nicely and talking to each other. Mrs. Fitzgerald exits left and the family cluster around mother as the curtain falls. So this is the last scene of the play. Mrs. Fitzgerald, she left and a children husband with their mother, they were sitting and they were having nice time. So this was the play Mother's Day, which teaches you the lesson of how should we treat our mothers at home. We should not take them for granted, and sometimes we should take care of them. We should talk to them, and whatever problems, whatever things they have to speak, they also want to enjoy their life. They also want to go with their friends, and they have a lot of burden of doing work at home. So we should help them in that also. We should not give orders, and we should not always take them for granted, so that they are doing all the things for us. So we become used to of that, and we never care that they also need some time to relax. So hope after reading this chapter, this play Mother's Day, you must have understood the value of your mothers, and once you will go to your mothers and will say thank you to them for doing everything for you.